before the blade sliced through the neck of France's most despised queen. Her enemies staged one final, calculated spectacle of cruelty. They didn't just want to kill her, they wanted to erase her. Her journey from golden thrones to a rickety wooden cart, paraded through streets where her ex-subjects screamed for blood, was engineered to strip away every shred of who she was. But they failed. This is the story of what they did to Marie Antoinette in her final 76 days, and the shocking dignity she clawed back from the jaws of degradation. Forget the sparkling mirrors of Versailles. Our story starts in the dank, rat-infested cell of the Conciergerie prison in Paris. This medieval fortress, nicknamed the antechamber to the guillotine, was the last stop for revolution enemies. On the night of August 2nd, 1793, after months locked with her family, Marie Antoinette was ripped from her children and sister-in-law, dragged alone to this hellhole. For 76 days, the former Queen of France was no longer royalty. She was prisoner 280, her cell, a cramped, dripping tomb with a single straw mattress. Privacy gone. 2 guards stationed inside her cell, 24/7, eyes locked on her every move. They watched her eat slop, watched her try to sleep, watched her change behind a flimsy screen. This constant stare was a weapon, the ultimate insult for a woman who once had palaces of privacy. But the physical rot was nothing next to the psychological torture. Just a month earlier, Revolutionary Guards had stormed her Temple prison room at midnight. They came for her 8-year-old son, Louis Charles. Accounts paint a frantic mother throwing herself between guards and child, begging as her teen daughter, Marie Therese, clung, screaming. But they tore the boy away. She would never see him again. All she had left, a tiny portrait and a lock of his hair hidden in her corset. It wasn't losing the crown that broke her. It was losing her children. Her maid, Rosalie Lamolière, who cared for her in the conciergerie later, said the queen only truly sobbed when speaking of her kids. Grief defined her end. In mid-October, the final act began. On October 14, 1793, Marie Antoinette was hauled before the Revolutionary Tribunal, a trial that was pure theater. Unlike her husband, Louis XVI, who got weeks to prepare, the queen had less than a day. The charges, a wild cocktail of treason and tabloid filth straight from years of hate pamphlets. She was accused of draining France's treasury to Austria, plotting massacres, hosting depraved orgies. But the final blow was so vile, it stunned the room. Prosecutor Antoine Quentin Foucaudinville accused her of incest with her son. They'd forced little Louis Charles to sign a false statement. For a moment, the queen was silent. The courtroom buzzed. Then she stood. She didn't look at judges. She turned to the gallery of working-class mothers, the same women who'd marched on Versailles. In a clear, steady voice, she said, "I appeal to all mothers here." It was brilliant. For one electric second, she wasn't Madame Deficit. She was a mother defending her soul. The mood shifted. Mothers in the crowd murmured in sympathy. A spark of her old power. But it was just a spark. The verdict: guilty. Death. In the early hours of October 16th, after a 2-day farce, the jury sentenced her, asked for final words. She shook her head. What was left to say? Back in her cell, she refused a last meal. "I need nothing now, my child," she told Rosalie. "Everything is over." Calmly, she wrote a heartbreaking letter to her sister-in-law, begging forgiveness for her son's forced lies. The letter was intercepted, found years later. As dawn broke, The physical humiliations began, each one planned. The guards ordered her to remove her black mourning dress worn since Louis's execution, a symbol of her past. Instead, they forced her into a threadbare white shifta garb of a penitent criminal. To change, she begged a guard to turn away. He refused. Then came executioner Charles Henry Sanson. His assistant grabbed her hair, once piled high with jewels, now prematurely white from stress. With rough scissors, he hacked it off. A symbolic stripping of femininity and a practical prep for the blade. Next, they bound her hands cruelly behind her back. "They didn't bind my husband's," she protested. Rare flash of fire. Ignored. The ropes bit deep. Reduced to basics, she humbly asked to relieve herself in a corner. Permission granted like a dog. At 11 a.m., the conciergerie gates creaked open. Louis XVI got a closed carriage. Marie, a crude, open cart for common thugs. They forced her onto a plank, hands bound, fully exposed. The ride to Place de la Révolution took over an hour. Tens of thousands lined the streets, a sea of hate. They jeered, spat, screamed. Revolutionary artist Jacques-Louis David sketched her from a balcony, haggard, defiant. The cart jolted violently, throwing her. Through it all, Marie sat ramrod straight, face pale, eyes forward. She didn't flinch, didn't cry, a solitary statue in a storm of rage. Finally, the cart entered Place de la Révolution, now Place de la Concorde. The guillotine loomed tall, stark against the sky. The crowd surged. As she stepped down, something shifted. Eyewitnesses said she was calm, almost graceful. She climbed the scaffold steps, alone, refusing help. At the top, in a bizarre twist, she stepped on Sanson's foot. The man who'd cut her hair, bound her, was about to end her, all eyes on them. Without fear or hate, she leaned in and said her final words. "Pardon me, sir. I did not do it on purpose." A quiet apology. An act of grace. In that moment, she denied them victory. They could kill her body, but not her soul. At 12:15 p.m., the blade fell, swift. Sanson's assistant grabbed her severed head by the white hair, held it high. The crowd roared, "Vive la République!" Her body was dumped in a cart, taken to a nearby cemetery, thrown in an unmarked mass grave. The revolution tried to erase her, burying France's last queen-like trash and the macabre legend. They say Madame Tussaud was called to make a death mask from the head. A ghoulish myth that stuck. It would be 21 years before her story ended. In 1815, after the monarchy returned, Louis XVIII ordered exhumation. 2025 DNA studies from the remains confirmed. Marie and Louis were identified by mitochondrial markers matching Habsburg lineage. They were reinterred with honors in Saint Denis Basilica, the royal necropolis. The revolution set out to destroy a symbol. They stripped her title, family, dignity, life. They wanted a monster. But with a quiet "pardon me" to her killer, she stole the show. They took her crown, took her head, but they couldn't take her grace. So what do you think? Was her final apology real dignity, or a myth to humanize her? Drop your take below. If this queen's defiance moved you, smash that like and subscribe for more royal last stands. Thanks for watching.